Welcome to ISKCON Rise podcast, where we share wisdom and transform lives of some people. We meet with great minds, exalted personalities, and learn from them their wisdom, their experience, their realizations, and help people progress in their own path of bhakti. So today we have with us one such exalted guest who's been practicing Krishna consciousness for more than 20 years, a dean of Bhaktivedanta Vidyapitha based in Govardhan Eco Village close to Bombay. He is also a prolific author, having written more than 33 books and working on the next one at the moment as we speak. He is also a very celebrated speaker, having done a lot of courses, I think more than 40 odd courses, and maybe about 800 or 8,000 hours of classes. He's also a TEDx speaker. So here we are. Welcome, Gauranga Darshan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So happy and excited to have you with us in Auckland. This, I believe, is your first visit in Auckland.
Yes.
So how do you finding Auckland, Prabhu?
Auckland is very good. The deities of Radha Giridhari are so beautiful. And the devotees of Radha Giridhari are also very loving and caring. And as I said yesterday in our session, the devotees here are very eager to hear Krishna Katha. That eagerness for Shravanam, Bhagavata Shravanam, makes any devotee or a community of devotees very inspiring and exemplary. And I saw many such devotees in Auckland. So I'm very grateful for this experience.
Great. Prabhu, we all know that you are very intrinsically connected with scriptures. You know, you also propagate people studying more scriptures and studying deeply. I'm sure what was the point in your life where you felt that attraction, and how did that whole process begin?
In my childhood, I was fortunate enough to study in a school called Balabhanu Vidyalayam, where every day morning there was a compulsory prayer hour. So about 45 minutes, all the 700-800 students of the school would gather in this long hall, like this or maybe bigger than this. And we were made to recite Bhagavad Gita shlokas.
Wow.
Vishnu Sahasranam, Lalita Sahasranam, Mantra Pushpam, Purusha Suktam, Sri Suktam, Rudra Namakam Chamakam. Like that we recited. We grew up reciting all that.
Wow.
And also at home, my father used to sing Venkateswara Suprabhatam, Vishnu Sahasranam, Bhagavad Gita. And we used to live close to temples, Lakshmi Narayan Temple, Ram Mandir. So because of that regular exposure to some spiritual culture and scriptural understanding as children, so I kind of found it very natural when I was fortunate to come in contact with Prabhupada's books. So when I was, I think, 21 years old, or 21 years old, for the first time I came in touch with Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book. Then it was very big, voluminous, but I began reading smaller books of Prabhupada, Beyond Birth and Death, Coming Back, then Science of Self-Realization, A Second Chance, Ajamil's Pastime. So like that, several small books of Prabhupada I read. So that childhood impressions coming from my father, my family, and my upbringing, plus my reading of Prabhupada's books in my youth. So overall, that increased some appetite in me to go deep into the Shastras. Especially when I started reading Srimad Bhagavatam on Gaur Purnima Day.
Wow.
I began reading Bhagavatam on 28th February 2010.
Amazing. You remember the date?
Yeah, I remember the date. That was Gaur Purnima Day. So when I began reading Bhagavatam on that day, I just opened it and I began introduction. In the introduction, Prabhupada writes the whole life history of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu briefly in several pages. So I was feeling very fortunate. On Gaur Purnima Day, I am beginning to read Srimad Bhagavatam and I am first made to read Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's biography in brief by Prabhupada. I felt very happy. And that day I started reading Bhagavatam. Till now, 15 years down the line, I never spent even a day without being in touch with Bhagavatam, either through reading or writing or hearing or speaking. In one of these four forms, reading, writing, hearing, speaking, I am somehow or the other in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam. Very rarely, once or twice I must have missed because of sickness or some busy services. But somehow I was fortunate enough to be blessed with the opportunity to be in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam since then, because Bhagavatam is very addicting, intoxicating.
Absolutely. Drunkards.
So once you start it, you don't feel like putting it down. So repeatedly I read the same topics, same purports of Prabhupada. Some of my favorite purports of Prabhupada are there in the first canto, fourth canto, and some in the 8th canto, Gajendra episode. And 4th canto, Dhruva Maharaj's episode, Prachetas episode. My God, Prabhupada writes brilliant purports. So Bhagavatam itself is intoxicating, but when you study Srimad Bhagavatam along with Bhaktivedanta purports, it's double intoxication. So it is all glories to Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam itself to make me get attracted to its message. Of course, I still have a long way to go. I don't claim to have a great taste for studying Srimad Bhagavatam. I need to develop on it, work on it. But whatever little taste or interest I have developed is because of the way Bhagavatam is presented by Srila Prabhupada through his purports.
Right.
And also, I must thank my parents for giving me such a wonderful upbringing and joining me in schools where scriptures are being recited on a regular basis. Of course, Bhagavad Gita also is one of the most inspiring scriptures for me. Chaitanya Charitamrita also. So, yes, the contents of the scriptures attracted me.
Right. And also, from what I'm gathering, you had that atmosphere at home where parents put you in that school, and as you said, at home itself, they used to have these chants in some form or the other. Which, what's your observation, Prabhu, from the childhood that you have seen to the childhood that children are getting now? You must have seen a huge difference. And parents are, in spite of all that, still complaining and wanting their children to be better. But the environment somehow is lacking. What would you, from your experience, how would you look at it and share your experience?
I had two phases of childhood. One is literally as a small child, I had some exposure to scriptures because of my parents. But when I joined ISKCON, my initial few years, which I considered childhood in Krishna conscious life or ISKCON life, they were also very memorable. So 2005, I came in touch with Prabhupada, ISKCON, Prabhupada's books, ISKCON. But I was busy with my college. 2005, November, I slowly started. Then 2006, mid-2006, I started standing 16 rounds. But somehow, I didn't have someone to guide personally and all. I had a few seniors. Specifically, I must say Nimai Leela Prabhu. He was in second year of Masters and I was in first year of Masters. Right. So I received a lot of personal guidance from him in the initial couple of years. So then 2007, I took up a job in Pune and came to Pune. Then 2008, I took a job in Mumbai, TCS Innovation Labs, and joined VTA, Vaishnava Training Academy in ISKCON Chowpatty. So that's where a serious practice of bhakti began. Whatever I have done before is more like a child's play with very, very minimal exposure to scriptural understanding or even Vaishnava lifestyle. So yes, I had some exposure, but not so much. But while living in a temple and regularly attending classes of Gauranga Prabhu and many other senior devotees, so I had more exposure to spiritual culture in Chowpatty, 2008, May. So I was fortunate enough to be asked by some temple authorities to transcribe the lectures of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj.
Ah.
2009, I quit my job and joined full-time as a brahmachari. So first year was a probationary period or training period for us, 2009 to 10. So during that 1 year, I was asked to transcribe the lectures of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So Maharaj would give Saturday morning Bhagavatam class, Sunday morning Bhagavatam class, and Sunday feast. Means 3 classes in a week in those days. But now it's very, very rare. But some 15, 16 years back, Maharaj used to give 3 classes in a week.
Regularly.
And if there is prerana, there is like one more extra. Saturday evenings there used to be prerana. Prerana is a youth class.
Youth program, yes.
Youth program once in a month. Right? So like that, in a month, we have at least 12 classes given by Maharaj in those days. So I was asked to transcribe. In those days, these automatic transcription softwares or AI, all these were not there. So I would hear literally and then type. And my pace is 1:3. If Maharaj speaks for 1 minute, I would type it for 3 minutes. I would type it in 3 minutes. Some other devotees, they used to take 4 minutes to type. Some devotees used to take 5 minutes or 6 minutes to type. 6 was maximum. So because I was little faster in typing, I don't know typing. I use only 2 fingers to type. But still, I was just doing it. And it was accurate also. I was getting that service. So that 1 full year hearing Maharaj's classes also increased so much of appetite for me to go deep into Bhagavatam. When I look back to those classes, Maharaj, he just repeats as it is. Whatever is there in Bhagavatam, with proper purports, adding some reflections and practical application perspectives, he just repeats as it is. So thus, I went through Srimad Bhagavatam through Vani, through hearing from my spiritual master. That also, I must say, in my childhood years of ISKCON. So I got that great fortune. So my Bhagavatam study of a chapter, of an episode, is not complete without hearing a lecture given by my spiritual master on that episode. For example, I am reading Gajendra's pastime. I would just go through what lectures Maharaj gave on Gajendra episode. I will just hear those lectures, take some notes, take some points. Then I feel my understanding is like more complete. I read what Sukadeva Goswami spoke and what Prabhupada wrote, and also what Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote.
Yes.
Sarartha Darshini. Then what my spiritual master spoke. And then few other senior devotees. I feel, then I get a comprehensive understanding of this. That was my study or sadhana.
Different perspectives.
Yeah,
to that.
Different perspectives and deeper insights. Okay, anyways, you asked about childhood.
Yes.
I spoke about my ISKCON childhood.
No, that's also very interesting, bro.
You wanted me to compare my childhood with the childhood of these modern kids.
Correct.
Actually, I feel that these children are very fortunate. Those are taking birth in Krishna conscious families. They have exposure to Hare Krishna Mahamantra and the deities of Gaur Nitai and Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and devotees and sannyasis and senior Vaishnavas right from their childhood. They're very fortunate. So people like us, like I have spent more than 2 decades of my life without chanting Hare Krishna. Yes, I had some exposure to spiritual culture. Yes, I had some exposure to Gita recitation, but no one taught me the meanings of Bhagavad Gita shlokas. Only recitation was there. There's no reflection. There's no explanation. There's no description. So my exposure to spiritual culture is very, very minimal in my childhood. But now, these children who are taking birth from Krishna conscious devotees, they have more exposure to spiritual culture. They're very, very fortunate. I'm talking about
devotee kids.
Devotee kids, right, primarily. And those who take birth in families who are not practicing Krishna consciousness, they're being exposed to so much of modern culture and unnecessary exposure to gadgets, media, and different kinds of perspectives and worldviews and philosophies and doctrines. And of course, sometimes even children who are born in Krishna conscious families also are getting exposed to them. But somehow there is some kavach, there is some armor for them in the form of their parents and other devotee association. But anyways, the modern children are getting more and more exposed to materialism nowadays, especially media. We never had phones when we grew up.
Correct.
But now even kids who are in early teens, or maybe before even teens only, they're in 10, 12 years age only, they have a phone and they know how to operate the phone much better than what we can operate.
So true.
Yeah. Sometimes when we have some doubts, we have to ask them, okay, how to install this app and how this app works and all. They're more exposed to it, video games and all that. Yeah.
In fact, children are sitting with sometimes children, even small children, like before their teenage, the parents just put the screen in front and they're having food. So they don't even know what's going in, but the screen is there. And it's just very difficult
in our home, there was no TV also. Till we came to 10th grade, there was no TV also. And in our street, there used to be one family who had a TV. TV was also rare in those days. So all the kids and people in that locality would go to their home to watch the TV. Right.
Like
Every Sunday evening, 4 o'clock, there used to be a movie in regional language, and we used to do like that.
It's like the local cinema hall.
Yeah, local cinema hall kind of thing. Some black and white TV is there, portable TV, and
Correct.
then 50 people will see that in a street. Anyways, so yeah, but on a positive side, the modern children have more exposure to technology. And if they are guided and empowered to utilize the technology very effectively, they have more opportunities to grow.
Right.
We used to purchase books. Some of the books were very expensive. People who are born and brought up in middle class families, they could not afford so many books also. But now in your phone, all books, entire Bhagavad Gita, entire Bhagavatam, entire Chaitanya Charitamrita, everything is there in your phone for free. Go to vedabase.net or something like that. So access to spiritual literature in the form of text, audio, video, media is more now. And many study materials have been created over the period till now in ISKCON, right? So modern children have more scope to learn, to grow, to understand the tattva more deeply. When I see in my children classes, many children are already aware of so many pastimes of Krishna. At their age, I didn't know who is Aghasur, who is Bakasur, who is Vatsasur, who is Vyomasur. But all these kids are familiar with all the demons that Krishna has killed. Most of the pastimes. Means they had more exposure.
Yes.
So we need to see it from a positive angle also, and we need to appreciate their good fortune. At the same time, they need to be protected from distractions, unnecessary distractions. So there are pros and cons because of modern technology. There is fortune also, there is some little misfortune also. It all depends on how we use it.
Correct.
Yeah.
I liked your point where you talked about actually giving them this exposure to this the path of bhakti. They've got everything, but somehow this is being bereft. So all the problems are coming up. And what do you think? I mean, as devotees or as people who understand the importance of this study, especially at an early age, what could we do? How could we extend ourselves to maybe give them this opportunity in general?
I often suggest, when somebody asks me this kind of question, I have one suggestion. It may sound theoretical, but it's also practical in some places. It's being practically implemented in some places. Children, once they are beyond 5 or 6, when they outgrow mother's lap, they look forward for association of other children of their own age group.
Correct.
Right? When they're too young, they are with parents most of the time. That is Balya stage. When they come from Balya stage to Pauganda stage, means 5 to 10, so naturally they need friends association. And if devotee children are given an opportunity to associate with other devotee children of their age group, and if they have very good cordial friendships amongst themselves, devotee friends of their age group, they can play with them, they can chant with them, they can chat with them, they can study with them, they can quarrel with them, whatever whatever kids do, let them do with the devotee children. So then the habits that they acquire will not be very negative habits. Because when someone who is born in a spiritual culture goes and associates with someone of their age group who is not a part of spiritual culture, there's a lot of mixing of worldviews.
Correct.
There is a lot of exchange of habits.
Mm.
How much this Krishna conscious kid can influence children who are not practicing Krishna consciousness, we don't know. But definitely they will influence him, this child. Because there is one devotee kid and there are 10 or 20 or 30 or 50
Correct.
those who are not a part of spiritual culture. Okay, they are part of some other spiritual culture probably, or they are not a part of any spiritual culture also, we don't know. But when that exposure is given, when child needs friendship, and if the friendship is available in a more Krishna conscious way, then that will be more empowering, and they can sustain their spiritual inspiration for a long time.
And perhaps parents have a role to play in terms of facilitating those friendships.
Parents have the primary role to play.
Yes, that's a very, very important point.
All the parents can come together, have their satsang, but they can also facilitate their children to come together, devotee children to come together and chant together, play together. Prioritize the children gatherings. Give them friendships of devotee friends.
Absolutely. No, very practical, Prabhu. Prabhu, I just had another question in this regard is when we speak to children, even youth for that matter, whilst they understand the importance of spirituality in their lives, in the current atmosphere where we live, where there's so many people who claim to be God, or they say this is scripture, that is scripture, and sometimes they even fight over it. To tell people that this is scripture, the question that comes to the mind of the youth is, how do you know, how do they know, or how do they believe that it's bona fide? Like when we say Bhagavad Gita as it is, they'll just say, okay, you're saying as it is. Somebody else might say as it is, and you're showing me something. How do I believe you? How do I believe you are bona fide and they are not? How would you answer that question?
Somewhere we have to invest some faith. When I'm sitting in Auckland airport, waiting for Wellington flight, I'm just trusting, I'm keeping faith in the pilot that he will take me to Wellington only. He will not take me to some other country, right? Somewhere some faith is there. You may say that faith is inspired by all the tried and tested systems. Even in spirituality also, that faith is inspired by tried and tested systems. Those who have studied that Bhagavad Gita as it is, or any other Vaishnava literature, see the transformation in their heart, see the purity of their thought, see they have given up bad habits. Even those who are coming from hippie background, those who are like staunch meat eaters and drug addicts or alcoholics, pakka materialists and atheists also, have given up all those past bad habits and they're chanting Hare Krishna. They're following four regulative principles. They have given up their meat eating or intoxication or gambling or illicit relationships. So, and they're upholding that virtues and values and principles. They're becoming a little more clean and truthful. The transformation that is caused by this scripture is right in front of you.
Very good point.
So, who brought the transformation in this personality? This scripture brought.
Right.
Or the people who are following the scriptures brought. These people who are studying and teaching the scriptures brought the transformation. So somewhere we have to invest faith. When you're ordering on Amazon, you pay $100 or $200 and order something. I mean, that's just a number. You're just seeing this number and then entering there, and then you have some faith that the website is bona fide. You have faith that in 2-3 days your product will come.
So true.
Somewhere you're investing faith.
At least you've got a phone call you can call back.
Yeah. Parents are there. Parents are sending their kids to schools. I mean, there's some faith in the teacher that the teacher will teach ABCD or something which is useful for the kid. Because you don't subscribe to something or register to something or accept something with complete understanding of what it is. There is an element of surprise. There's an element of uncertainty, and there's an element of faith. Everything that you are getting in your life or seeing in your life or receiving in your life, you don't have complete understanding of it. You go to a restaurant and then sit there and order a pizza, and then you don't know what the taste will be. But you have some hope and faith that, okay, this will satisfy my hunger, it will be tasty enough. Or you have some faith in the brand, you have faith in the title of the restaurant. Some faith, somebody has told you something by hearing something from word of mouth or reading something in newspaper or in a website. You develop some faith in some product. Somewhere, some faith element is there. Some people say anything about faith, we don't have anything to do with it. Actually speaking, every single day of your life, you are utilizing that faith. Your interactions with this world, with people, with products, with companies, or with this whole world are based on faith.
True.
Right. So when we are faithfully accepting so many material things, why can't we show a grain of faith in accepting something spiritual and experience the transformation? This mantra, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is there. So many people chanted that mantra and experienced that peace and transformation in their heart. See the personality standing in front of you, there is faith. But sometimes, although he has transformed so much, there are still some shortcomings pending. There are some shortcomings or some faults in that person. Somehow we see that faults only, and we see that they studied scriptures and still they are behaving like this. So scriptures will not do anything. We lose faith.
Yes, exactly.
We don't see the positive transformation part.
True. True.
But we only see that small fault and then say, same thing you can invest, you can see some material thing also from that perspective only.
You expect everybody to be 100% pakka after studying scriptures.
You can expect complete transformation, absolutely no defects in a person who studies scriptures and then question their faith if there is a small fault. But you order a product, you purchase a laptop or a phone, right? The phone promises to give some specification. This is 108 megapixel. Your photos are very clear, and they will do some Photoshop and then show some photos of very good quality. But when you actually click a photo, you will not find that quality.
Right.
But even if you understand it, you are not getting that quality, you just accept it. Fine, I have purchased already. Fine. This is the best phone. You advertise again to others.
And then sell it to them.
Yeah. In why, the fundamental problem or the problem with this questioning about faith is we want enjoyment. Right? And we understand scriptures restrict my enjoyment. And these material things will promote my enjoyment. Therefore, even though there are some flaws in these material products, I overlook the faults and focus on the enjoyment there. But here, this is kind of restricting my material enjoyment. Therefore, although there is a lot of positivity there, I focus on the so-called fault or negative, or which is not yet transformed, and then want to reject it. So, in the heart of our hearts, there is a desire to not submit to something pure. There is a desire to enjoy in a material plane. Because of that material desire or desire for material happiness, we are not inclined to accept something spiritual, although it is divine. We don't want to keep faith there. We have 100 questions, 100 doubts about it. Right?
Absolutely.
That's the problem.
Thank you, Prabhu. That's very well said. It's to have that grain of faith and then see the transformation. It's for you to see and judge. Absolutely. So, Prabhu, for a person who is wanting to put some faith and try something out, in your experience and being an educator yourself, what would be a starting point for them, like one of Prabhupada's books? Because sometimes people, they know what is Bhagavad Gita, but they get too overwhelmed when you say, okay, you start reading. Of course, we can enroll them for courses. But what would you say would be the first point of contact in an ideal situation where somebody is keen, you tell them, okay, this is the starting point to understand the basis of that philosophy and what the path of bhakti actually means?
For kids? Or even in general?
Maybe for kids or even in general, both.
According to the scriptures, the holy name of Krishna is very powerful. And we cannot underestimate the holy name's power in transforming people or in enlightening people. Right? So somewhere if they happen to begin chanting Hare Krishna, even within few days, they will be equipped with the necessary intelligence and common sense to understand scriptures and accept the path little more seriously. Somewhere, if they begin chant Hare Krishna with faith or without faith, the holy name will create some revolution in their lives. Second, or even before that holy name also, they need to receive some grace of devotees. Let some devotees offer some prayer for their welfare. Let some devotees be their sincere well-wishers and offer a prayer for them and show some mercy towards them, and then somehow or the other inspire them or push them and lovingly bring them to the path of bhakti and expose them to even a slight trace of bhakti, whether in the form of Shravanam or Kirtanam. So even to get that faith, we need Satam Kripa and Mahat Seva. Satam Kripa means the mercy of devotees. Mahat Seva means some opportunity to serve devotees. Directly or indirectly, if you happen to serve some devotees, you will get some grain of faith. Directly or indirectly, if some devotee has shown some mercy upon you, they are pleased with you for some gesture that you have shown towards them, you will get some kripa. And that will induce some faith in you. And that faith will grow as we are practicing the other processes of bhakti. So sadhu kripa and Harinam.
It's like a cyclic process then. Little faith, you do the service.
Correct.
Faith increases.
Faith
more
keeps on
service.
increasing, correct. But faith begins with the mercy of a devotee and somehow or the other chanting the holy names of the Lord. Then you will get a deeper philosophical understanding and more commitment to the path.
Right. Okay. And Prabhu, you've been traveling all over the world, discussing, sharing experiences and meeting other devotees. Currently, amongst the devotee community, what do you think the devotee should collectively and individually aspire for to ultimately further the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and maybe please Srila Prabhupada?
The aspiration of a devotee is very clearly mentioned in our scriptures. Prema Pumartho Mahan. All of us should aspire for Krishna Prema. You may find it very idealistic answer, but that's a fact. If our aspiration is to love Krishna and lovingly serve Krishna eternally, then everything will fall in place. Why there are some conflicts or some other problems or issues? Because our aspiration changes time to time. When we are hearing Krishna Katha, when we are hearing an inspiring class, when we are reading some scripture, then we feel, my aspiration is Krishna Prema. Whether I am chanting or hearing or serving or doing whatever, my aspiration should be Krishna Prema. We remember that. But once you close the book or, complete the class and then go out and then some other aspiration, Maya will inspire us to have some other aspiration. I need some name, I need some fame, I need some prestige. I need some claps, some whistles, some position, some post, some privileges. So like that, Maya somehow induces us to aspire for something other than Krishna Prema. While keeping our unwavering focus on the ultimate goal of attaining Krishna Prema, we can have other aspirations which are subordinate to this ultimate aspiration. Whatever intermediate aspirations that I have, whatever desires that I have, whatever endeavors I am taking up, if they are in line with the ultimate goal of Krishna Prema, then everything will fall in place. But if the intermediate aspirations or day-to-day aspirations or goals or desires or endeavors that I have are not in line with the ultimate goal of Krishna Prema, that's where problem comes. So, vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha krudandana bahushakha hi anantasya buddhayo avyavasayina. So, one who is vyavasayatmika buddhi means one who is very one-pointed in one's intelligence, aspiring for that same goal. His thought process is like one-pointed. My goal is Krishna Prema. But bahushakha hi anantasya, those are distracted by hundreds and thousands of allurements of Maya, temptations of Maya, they will lose focus on the ultimate goal. Aspiration is Krishna Prema. All other aspirations must be in line with that ultimate aspiration.
And there are so many distractions just to make it even worse. nowadays.
Yes. Distractions have been there since time immemorial. The flavor may change. Sometimes there is this complaint also. Now I have the smartphones. Earlier they didn't have smartphones, so they were able to focus better. Now I can't focus.
Yes, people
Now
do
we
say
have
that.
competitive exams. Earlier they didn't have. Therefore, my job is more tough, which is correct in one sense. But the difficulties that used to exist 50 years back, or 100 years back, or 1 yuga back, or 10 yugas back, may be of different flavor, but they are products of Maya at that time, and distraction was there. The flavor may change, the intensity may change, but distraction is always there, and the principles of pulling the mind back will remain the same. Yato yato nischarati manaschanchalama sthiram tatastato niyamyaitat atmanyeva vasham nayet. Earlier, some TV or movie theater must have distracted, but now the theater in the pocket is distracting. Right? That's okay. Maya can present multiple distractions with multiple intensities at different timings, but the solution is same: abhyasa and vairagya. We need to develop detachment from the distraction. We need to do abhyasa or practice to bring the mind back and focus on the goal. Easier said than done, but we have to do it.
That's a good point. Being detached from this distraction. Because sometimes people take it differently. Detachment means, oh, I shouldn't get attracted to good things. That's what usually people perceive.
That's called Phalgu Vairagya. Prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastunah mumukshubhir parityago vairagyam phalgu kathyati. Means thinking that these are material things, if I'm detached from them, although there is a potential to utilize them in Krishna's service, that is called Phalgu Vairagya. Detachment does not mean giving up everything. Give up only those things that you don't have the ability to engage in Krishna's service. But you can always accept things that can be utilized in Krishna's service.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Then that is Yukta Vairagya. Okay.
That's a great perspective. Detachment of distractions. Sometimes I've heard a lot of devotees who now say that Ekadashi is not about fasting only from food, but you should also fast from your smartphone.
Smartphone is not only on Ekadashi, every day. Right? From food, you can fast from food on Ekadashi, but we have to fast from smartphone every day. Right?
That's every day.
Everyday fasting.
Fasting.
And you can use it as much as needed, but if that use becomes an addiction, that's the problem. Using is not the problem. You can use 10 hours also if there is some productive use. Right? You can hear some YouTube lecture. One devotee said, after the smartphones came, my reading has increased. Because earlier I used to carry this book wherever I went, and if I had some 10 minutes break, I would open the book and read. But now I don't have to carry that big book. This one little phone is sufficient for me. My hearing increased, my reading increased because of the smartphone. Someone devotee said like that when smartphones came. But other devotee said, after smartphones came, I stopped reading. I stopped hearing. I was distracted. So same thing. You can use in different ways. So because the book is there, full book is there in the pocket itself. Whenever you can open, just read 1 or 2 verses. You are waiting. For example, I came a little late for this podcast shooting. So there's some 5-10 minutes reading. That gives you an opportunity to read 1 or 2 shlokas. Like that. So devotees are utilizing the gaps appropriately with the smartphone by hearing something, by reading something. Absolutely. They keep some one shloka in their screen. What is that called? Screensaver, wallpaper. They will see that, put one shloka and they just read that shloka. Hare Krishna. They are memorizing that shloka, meditating on that shloka. Whenever they get some gap of 5-10 minutes, they have to wait for something.
Correct.
So that's a very positive use of these gadgets.
Right. But that's usually very less, Prabhu, because I was doing a youth program, and while doing research, it was mentioned that an average youth in general today spends about 7 hours and some 32 minutes on their gadget. I mean, not just on the smartphone, collectively on the gadgets. It didn't say whether it was study and just general, but overall it's about that, which
Screen
I thought
time
was huge. I mean, even if you say half of that is, let's say, study time for argument's sake, that's 3.5 hours. And what do they do normally? It's Instagram or TikTok and all these kind of things. And after a certain age, how do you really, what do you do? How do you break the ice? Because on one hand, it's not good, but because 10 other friends are doing that, they feel it's okay. And I'm studying also, no. I'm getting good marks also, no. So why are you stopping me from using my smartphone? And that becomes a very difficult conversation for the parents to have with their teenagers or youth.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're struggling to see what's the best way. I mean, should they just keep quiet and hope things will change? Or if they want to do something, then there is argument and confrontation and it becomes a bit ugly. Yeah, parents are just grappling with it. So I don't know if you have any insights on that.
We can say many things, but I'll say two things. Number one, instead of asking them to stop using the gadgets or minimize using the gadgets, give them some other positive responsibilities, more empowering responsibilities, which they like also. So you're learning these musical instruments, your friend is learning this musical instrument, harmonium or kartal. If that potential is there in the kid, parents can identify it and encourage them to learn the musical instruments. That's a more Krishna conscious way of utilizing one's time. Or sending them some additional courses if they have some extra time. Because we are saying that they are getting good grades, good marks, they're doing well in academics. But along with that, some 3.5 hours of time is also being spent in unnecessary time on these gadgets or, as you said, TikTok or whatever. So you try to fill that 3.5 hours time with something positive, give them some responsibility. I often suggest like this. In a community, there are some smaller kids, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, like that. And the little grown-up kids, 13, 14, 15, like that. One way of engaging these older kids in their extra time is to train these younger kids. Right? If your kid is like 16 years old or 14 years old, engage them in training those who are little 4 or 5-year-old. Let them speak some stories to them. So that way, they also feel a sense of achievement or accomplishment or responsibility and satisfaction in heart by teaching something. And many of these youth, younger ones, they want to develop their public speaking skills as a part of their career.
Right.
If you can facilitate that public speaking skills by engaging them and speaking to those who are little younger than them, some Krishna conscious topics according to their understanding. Okay, let them teach some shlokas, let them teach some stories, let them teach some values from Gita, Bhagavatam to those who are little younger than them, 4 years younger. Like a 14-year-old kid can teach a 10-year-old kid. And that also will help the parents have one more layer between them and the children. The adults are directly teaching the kids. But if you just finding some problem, he'll escalate the matter to older one. So that creates like a hierarchy also.
Right.
Some engagement for this middle age group and also some hierarchy. Then it empowers them to do something productive. So that is like one point. Giving an alternative, positive, spiritual engagement for them so that extra time which is getting wasted is properly utilized. And second point is, unless the individual understands the importance of staying away from it, he will not do it. Whether they are teens or youth or adults or old people, unless they understand the importance of withdrawing themselves from these unnecessary distractions, you give 100 tips, you give 100 lectures, it will not work. So they need to be convinced about it. They need to be determined about it. If you ask them to give a lecture, they will also give a lecture on it. How we should minimize our usage of gadgets, but they themselves will use it also. Right? So it comes with personal conviction. Let's wait for it. Right? We need to try to set a right example as much as possible and tell them once in a while. And when they are convinced, they will do it. So you can create alternative engagements. Now the first suggestion that I mentioned, that people may not take also. I will not teach these kids, they will say. Some people will take it up with enthusiasm. Right? Then you just have to wait till they get convinced. Right?
I guess it's a way you say them, tell that as well, because I feel, I agree with you. Sometimes when you give them some responsibility, they do take it up. I mean, they, for whatever reason it is. And it may be more empowering to them that I'm doing something beyond what I'm expected to do. And that could be a motivation. But yeah, I think that's a great point, Prabhu. And I believe in Gurukul, in the previous, in the Vedic culture, they used to have that system where the teacher is teaching the students, and when they become a bit senior, then they are in turn maybe doing a basic refresher course for the new beginners.
Yeah.
And then everybody somehow gets integrated. I'd heard somewhere, I'm not sure how,
maybe
whether it works.
I don't know much about that. But I have seen in my college, when I was in IISc, our professor used to give us some assignments.
Right.
And the professor had some assistants who are PhD students. We are in masters and they were in PhD. And professor is above both of them.
Right.
So some of the assignments that we submit to the professor, these PhD students will evaluate. And that's a part of their assignment, they will get some credits for it also. Right? So that's professor saves his or her time. And we also don't feel so intimidated by directly going to the professor. So this PhD student is there who's a little more like an elder brother. So I think that one creating one more layer will work. Yeah.
Works for everybody. It's like a win-win.
Yes.
Great. No, that's a great suggestion, Prabhu. We'll hope people take some tips from this. On a slightly different angle, Prabhu, you're so attached to Bhagavatam and the shlokas and stuff. I'm sure in Bhagavatam, you may have a particular personality or a particular pastime that you're very influenced by, or your favorite. Could you share something on that?
Oh, it's a very difficult question. I can't share one pastime or one character. There are so many favorite characters. But definitely Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes are more dear to my heart. In the 10th canto, first half. But in the initial 9 cantos also I have so many favorite characters, favorite episodes, favorite stories, favorite prayers. One of the foremost of them is Kunti Maharani's prayers. Then some prayers of Prahalad Maharaj really touch my heart, where he expresses his humility, his compassion, his devotion, his gratitude towards Narada Muni. They're really, really heart-touching. 5-year-old child doing all that. Then some prayers of Dhruva Maharaj. And Bhishma Stuti also, some prayers are really, all are great, but some are my favorite. Then Vritrasura's prayers.
Yes, Canto 6.
And in fact, Vritrasura's entire life, which is short in one sense.
Correct.
So that's very exemplary. That provides deep insights. And Dhruva Maharaj also. Like many of these devotees like Ambarish Maharaj, Prahalad Maharaj, and even Pandavas, Parikshit Maharaj, all of them have been devotees since their childhood. Some before birth also. Like Parikshit saw Krishna before birth.
Absolutely.
Prahalad Maharaj heard about Krishna before birth. But Dhruva is different case. Dhruva, we can connect with Dhruva a little more.
Similar
compared to others. Because Dhruva, in the beginning days of his life, he had revengeful attitude, he had envy, he had some material ambitions, and eventually he got transformed into a pure devotee. So the transformation journey in Dhruva's story is very interesting. Many other pure devotees have been pure devotees since birth, right? But here is an elaborate transformation journey. So that's why I can connect with Dhruva a little more. Because there are so many human emotions described in Dhruva's pastime. That's why I meditated more on Dhruva's episode. I read it repeatedly. Of course, others also. Ambarish Maharaj is no less very, very heart-touching episode. But Ambarish Maharaj's full life is not described. Only that one incident is described.
With Durvasa Muni.
In the 9th canto of Bhagavatam. So, yeah.
Somebody who engaged his whole body in the service of Krishna.
Bali Maharaj is another wonderful story. That's my favorite. Gajendra. Every story illuminates us in a different way, inspires us in a different way. When somebody is feeling very lusty, then they need to go to the episodes of Pururava, Yayati, and take some inputs from there. When somebody is feeling very envious. They can go to Prithu Maharaj and Indra story. When somebody is very angry, then they can read Daksha and Shiva story. When somebody has some other anartha, is being troubled by some other anartha, they can refer to some other story in Bhagavatam and then take some inputs. Or somebody is inspiring, somebody is aspiring to develop some Vaishnava quality of gratitude or compassion, then there are so many characters in Bhagavatam that depict that quality, that demonstrate that quality. We can go there and go through that pastime. So Bhagavatam is like a full meal. There are some pickles, there is papad, there is core, rice, dal, chapati, sabji. There are some sweets, very nice sweets are also there. It's like a wholesome meal, all 12 cantos put together.
That's what you did. I asked you your favorite food and then you gave me the whole plate. Okay, let me rephrase the question. Say today evening, you have to give a class 1 hour and it's devotees and they want to hear something from Bhagavatam. What topic would you select?
I don't know. I am a systematic writer but a very random speaker, spontaneous speaker. You have been seeing me last 5-6 days. So whatever comes to my mind at that time, whatever Krishna inspires me at that time, whatever devotees request me at that time, I'll speak. You organized this 8-hour seminar, Vaishnava Sadachar, that's the title you gave. I asked them, what do you want to hear? Devotee said gratitude. I spoke for 1 hour on gratitude. Devotee said compassion. I spoke on that. Devotee said non-envious. I spoke on that. So
something from the heart. What inspires you that time?
Correct. When we are studying, we need to study systematically and equip our consciousness with the lessons and insights coming from these scriptures. But when the right situation comes, we need to respond accordingly based on whatever understanding we have acquired from our study or hearing. Right? Of course, I also give very prepared classes sometimes. Right? Specific classes, the audience are specific, topic is specific, and there is a clear expectation. Right? Then I stick to, I can make PowerPoint slides also. I have a flow of thought ready also. But general devotees are they are ready to hear anything from Gita, Bhagavatam, CC. Then I speak anything that comes to my mind at that time. Right. When they give me a specific topic, I speak specifically on that pastime or on that topic based on my understanding. And sometimes I even prepare also. I make a structure how to present this flow of thought within this available time. Like GBC College, they asked me, you present on principles of leadership from Bhagavatam. It was not extempore like what I did last 1 week here. So I prepared, I structured it nicely and then gathered some pastimes with references and all. It's more systematic. Right? So it depends on the event.
Right.
Depends on the requirement of the hour. Right. So I did both. But somehow in the last 1 decade, I'm being more spontaneous and speaking whatever is there in the mind at that time without keeping some notes or PPT. But that is also I did that.
Like this, there was no PowerPoint and nothing. You just spoke from the heart, which is amazing. And they connected very well with it. So you got some very good feedback.
When we speak from the heart, whatever we could understand, whatever we could realize or connect with, then it will satisfy us. It will satisfy the hearer also. Sometimes if there's a specific requirement, yes, you do some research or preparation on this topic and gather some content. It's like a service. You gather everything together and then present there, right? So that's a service that has to go on. But this is like more inspiration here. It's like more sharing of inspiration. It can come from heart, right? Directly, whatever you could understand. So now I forget some shloka or some reference or some shloka number. That's okay, it doesn't make any difference. Point is conveyed. But in some presentations, giving that reference is important. Quoting the full shloka is important. Showing a PowerPoint is important. For example, in a Bhakti Shastri class, I don't give an extempore. I show slides. Bhakti Shastri means you have to speak only on that chapter. In that sequence of shlokas, you have to cover those shlokas in a sequence. Sloka number 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to slow sloka number 1 and explain it line by line. Then speak some important points from the purport. Then go to the second. Then a fixed syllabus is there. Correct. But here there is no fixed syllabus. You just give a topic, Vaishnava Sadachar. So then I shared with whatever I understood. But If I have to present on the same topic somewhere else, something else will come out. Theme will remain the same, but other examples may come, different insights may come. There's ocean. These topics are like ocean, deeper than Pacific Ocean. So we need to understand the requirement of the hour, and then accordingly.
Great, Prabhuji. I'm sure we've got lots to take away from this podcast. I'm sure viewers will make most of it. So thank you so much